Hello, and happy Tuesday, which is, of course, my book reviews day. And this is my last book review of 2022. So let's go out with a bang with Gothic by Philip Fracassi. So this, I did an unboxing a few weeks back. It was published as a signed limited edition from Earthling Publications. It's the second signed limited edition that Fracassi has gotten through Earthling, the first being his debut novel, Boys in the Valley. Boys in the Valley was one of my favorite novels from last year. And the trade edition of his debut trade novel, A Child Alone with Strangers, which was published just last month, was one of my favorite novels of this year. And Gothic is also an incredible read. Although I will say it is his darkest novel yet. So this signed limited edition for Earth Publications, is sold out. But in just 2 short months, in February of 2023, the trade edition is being released from Cemetery Dance. And I know Philip Fracassi is awesome about signing book plates, so you could probably get a signed book plate from him to make yourself a signed copy of Gothic. So anyways, his first 2 novels, Boys in the Valley and A Child Alone with Strangers, definitely have reoccurring themes of childhood or a loss of innocence. The first one being very much a coming-of-age story mixed with The Exorcist, the latter being a kidnapping thriller with kind of hints of like Firestarter with Charlie or The Institute from Stephen King. Gothic eschews the childhood theme from the past 2 stories and goes more in the writer vein. Like, Stephen King has a lot of main characters who are writers, and the main character of Gothic is a writer. Tyson Parks, he was a former New York Times bestselling author a couple of decades ago, but now times are much harder. He's having difficulty getting back to the top of the bestsellers list. He's kind of having some money issues. He's sitting there pitifully waiting for his agent, wearing glasses. They're being held together by tape. And then, as fate would have it, for his birthday, his wife surprises him with a new writing desk. It's a very ornate desk, intrinsically carved with skulls and faces and little vines. It has a solid black stone top to the desk. And wouldn't you know, this desk, which looks creepy as all hell, as shown here on the cover by Glenn Chadbourne's illustration, turns out to be quite a muse for Tyson Parks. It really gets his tendrils in him, quite literally at times. Those tendrils on the cover there. And after a couple sleepless nights, he pumps out a very, very dark novel called Black Altar, which is going to shoot him straight back up to the top. It is one hell of a dark piece, and the little excerpts you get in there almost remind me of a Bentley Little novel. So I'll get to more of in a second when it comes to Bentley Little. It is a very, very dark novel that he writes within Gothic. And the desk has a negative effect on him as well. It's a bad influence. It's an evil desk, and it quite literally makes him evil as well. Instead of being a character drowning in self-pity, like he starts off with, he becomes a very aggressive type. He becomes a change in his personality. You see a change in his personality. He becomes a very aggressive, very violent. He has violent outbursts of screaming obscenities at people in public. This one guy steals his cab in public, and he doesn't react in a positive manner. And let me tell you, it's a hell of a read. As I mentioned before, the novel he writes, Black Altar, within Gothic reminds me of Bentley Little novel, and I'm going to be bluntly honest, the novel itself actually reminds me of a Bentley Little novel. So if Philip Fracassi's first 2 novels were more of tributes to Stephen King or Robert McCammon, I would say the Gothic is definitely more of a tribute to more hardcore horror authors, including Bentley Little or Richard Lehman. I mean, hell, if you change the name of the title to The Desk or The Black Altar and set it in Arizona, it would be a Bentley Little novel. And that's not a knock at Philip Fracassi. I like Bentley Little. Bentley Little has a formula that he sticks to, and it works really well for him. And Philip Fracassi doesn't necessarily stick to that same formula, but he does hit a couple of the road marks along the way. And even one of the novels he writes in here is called The Horror. It has a nice little book by Tyson Park in the back, nice little touch there. And that almost sounds like it would be a Bentley Little title. One of the aspects of Bentley Little novels is that they do include some sexual assault or rape on occasion. And I would be lying if I didn't say that Gothic also does include scenes like that. So consider this a little trigger warning. If you're not privy to reading of sexual assault or rape, you're probably not going to like Gothic. I mean, it's not totally abundant, but it is there in a scene, and it is a pivotal scene. It is a shocking scene. And shock value is what Philip Fracassi does very well in this story. So this is, like I said, the Earthling Publications limited edition with the stark white paper. I don't know that the Cemetery Dance one is going to be quite as fancy because it is, in fact, a trade edition, but it will still be an incredible read. And with all Philip Fracassi, Gothic included, you should go out and read it. If you like horror novels, you got to read Philip Fracassi. You got to pick this up in February. Go pick up Boys in the Valley, which is getting the Tor Nightfire release later in 2023. That is an incredible novel. Go pick up Child Alone with Strangers now. You can go on VJ Books and get a signed copy there. They're all really good reads. I definitely enjoyed the previous two novels more, and that's not to say Gothic was bad. It wasn't. I still enjoyed it. But I liked the... I don't want to say lighthearted because they're still very much horror novels, a horror and a thriller with his first two novels. But this one was definitely darker in tone, which, I mean, I still enjoy darker tone novels, but I enjoyed the demonic possession and thriller more. But it's still definitely worth reading. One thing I will say is I wasn't a huge fan of the ending. I mean, the ending itself was fine. What happens with Tyson Parks and the desk is A-okay. But in the last few chapters, some of the main characters kind of branch off into kind of two different paths. And you're following Tyson Parks with the desk, and then some other characters who are quite aware of the effect that the desk is having on Tyson Parks. And you think, like, these characters are planning, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And unfortunately, they never really intersect again, which is disappointing. That's not really a spoiler. It's just, I mean, I'm not going to go into any details beyond that. You know, we have some branching paths that never quite reconnect in the end. But the main storyline itself does have its conclusion, and it's a good conclusion. It's a good ending. It's another hit from Philip Fracassi, and it's another wonderful publication from Earthling Publications. They have been knocking it out of the park lately. Between Boys in the Valley last year, Marla by Jonathan Jans this year, and Philip Fracassi now, which is also this year, they have really been knocking it out of the park. Seriously, check out Earthling Publications. Check out Philip Fracassi. You can pre-order a copy from Cemetery Dance for the trade edition. In just a few short months, you'll have it in your hands, and you can follow this descent into madness that Tyson Parks goes down. Thank you guys very much for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing, and we'll see you around next time.